Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome to virtual Seattle for round 5 of SNHL Division 1 action here as we get ready for the SNHL Montgomery Custom Boats Cup at Seafair. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr., the host of the Saturday Night Hydroplane League. Again, Happy New Year, and as we come into the final 3 races of this season, it is almost time for a coronation for Cy Bowen entering tonight's race. Cy Bowen, 8,735 points, and the magic number count is on for the championship as things stand. 2,445 points left for Cy Bowen to claim, and he will be the champion here in Season 7. He is the first to clinch into Division 1, and we will talk to him later this evening. As we come into Seattle, this is a track that can be deceptive. We will run 6 boat heats during the evening, but the corners are extremely tight, which means drivers will have to give themselves a little bit extra room to navigate these corners without getting into trouble, which SNHL and giving room, we know how that goes, especially in Division 1, so we could see some contact and possibly some referee calls later on tonight. We're going to go ahead and get started with our pre-race interviews, and we were going to be joined first by Carson Kelly. Finished second last week, but most importantly, running for a spot to stay in Division 1, which most of us didn't expect at the beginning of the year. But Carson, you've been able to make a lot more races this year, a lot due to an unfortunate injury suffered in the real world.
Focusing on school sports throughout the season, and ended up breaking my thumb at a wrestling practice, which is the only reason I'm probably racing right now, to be honest. So kind of sucks that I don't get to do my real life sports, but it's fun to be here in Hydrosim and just trying to win.
Yep, and you definitely still have those winning ways despite not running a lot of Division 1 time. After qualifying up on the pole or near it, we'll check the qualifying times in just a moment, but after qualifying, you're back in the safety net for SNHL Division 1 to stay up next year.
Yeah, that's always a good thing. Yeah, I don't really know what to say, but I'm glad I'm still up there.
And just to confirm, you are fastest in qualifying. 155.797 puts you on the pole, gets those 200 qualifying points. But coming into this race today, we're at Seattle. We can run 6 boats here, but these corners are really tight. How do you deal with the tight confines going into the corners here?
Going into the corners, really all you have to do is just make sure your fin sets, and then you're pretty much good all the way around the corner. So.
All right, Carson, we're going to see who can get that right today. You qualify on the pole. Hopefully, we'll be talking to you at the end of the night. Congratulations on qualifying, and good luck.
Thank you.
Next up will be DJ Miller, the driver of the DC Presents Deft. DJ is the one that broke the streak last time out in Tri-Cities, ended the undefeated streak as far as finals are concerned for Cy Bowen, and now he's back here at Seattle, looking to go 2 for 2 here in the Washington State swing. DJ, welcome in, and last time out, you were the one that finally got to break that undefeated streak. How did it feel?
It always feels good to win. Prove I still got it. Last week was a lot of fun. It honestly helps not having just me back out on the course, but some of the other fast guys too, like Carson. He was, because sometimes to beat one fast guy, you need a couple fast guys. You need to put some distance in between you and the other fast guy you're trying to beat. And that often takes a couple fast guys to also work together in the mill in a final heat to force somebody they don't want to win out wide. That's something a lot of the more experienced drivers do without even talking to each other. They can just kind of see it.
Well, DJ, you are a past champion. You have been in these championship battles before. And as you're getting close to clinch, what are the emotions like, and what are the thoughts like going into the race weekends when you know you're closing in on that title?
It's really just about doing good enough. You don't have to go out there and win every heat, but the more you win, the more it helps. I'm going to try to see if I can keep my top 5 in high points streak across every season, which I think is really doable with 3 races to go. I might be outside the top 10 now, but the gap is not really big to even up to the top 5.
Yeah, and I think that's been the one big thing about this year, just outside of the top 2, unfortunately, how close the battle in the points, where if you make a mistake, you could fall 3-4 places down the national high points order.
Yeah, especially with how high turnout all the races have been. There's only so many points to go around, so oftentimes one mistake in the prelims is kind of just the end of your night, and there's not much more you can do about it. So yeah, it's always been really hyper competitive, and in a lot of ways more intense than the real thing in that regard, because there's just so many more guys you got to go out there and beat, and yeah, it gets tight out there.
All right, DJ, and it'll definitely be tight in these corners, which we've known over the years in SNHL have caused quite the calamity. DJ, good luck tonight. Hope we will be talking to you at the end.
Yep, thank you, Daryl.
And next up is the driver everyone has been trying to chase down this year, and that has been Cy Bowen in the U17 Rockbot 2, currently leading the points going into tonight. And Cy, welcome in. And I noticed it's a little bit harder to find the 7 on that boat tonight.
A little bit, yeah. We changed it up a little bit there. Made it a little bit smaller. We're kind of nearing clinch time. I know it's doable, but near impossible to clinch it up tonight. But hopefully within the next 2 races, we should be able to clinch it. And by the end of San Diego, at the end of the night, we can take that 7 off.
Yep. Well, the magic number right now is 24:45. So unless there is absolute calamity for Mickey Washburn, it will go on to Chelan next month. But you've won one of these championships before in Division 2. Now you're closing into Division 1. I don't want to put the commentator's curse on it, but no one has ever won the divisions back-to-back since we've been doing the divisions. Does that play into your mind as we go into these last 3 races?
Yeah, absolutely. Setting records is kind of the goal between the last 2 seasons. So last season and this season, we were able to break the streak of most consecutive wins ever in a row last season. We were able to kind of do it, match DJs in D1, but just in a single season in D1, we broke that record at 3. So it's kind of a record-setting past 2 years. We're going to try to do it again. Of course, we're in a really good spot to clinch it up for the rest of the season. So we should end the season back-to-back champions.
Yep. Now we come into tonight here at Seattle. We know these straightaways are nice and wide. The corners, different story. How do you make sure the dreaded D1 lanes don't catch you out in the corners?
I'm sure we'll have plenty of D1. It's a little bit smaller field than what we've been getting the rest of the season. So D1 lane are definitely going to play a factor. But really, it's just going to be getting that first corner first and making everybody race your racetrack instead of racing somebody else's.
All right, Si. Well, good luck this evening, and hopefully we'll be talking to you at the end of the night.
For sure. Thank you.
So those are our post-race interviews complete. We're going to put on the practice that is behind you. We'll get to our heat draws next at 7 p.m. We go racing live here in the Montgomery Custom Boats Cup here at Seafair in virtual Seattle, Washington. We'll be right back. About 10 minutes to the 5 here in Seattle. Here are your heat draws for the very first heat. When we start racing in about 7 minutes' time, Scott Przybilski in the Mr. Pringles will be out on the water. Joining him will be Harley Gray in the Dream Warrior, presented by Lucas Oil. Scott Witherall in the Miss Castro GTX. Connor Harnack in the Harnack Motorsports. And Neil Dismang in the Dutch Brothers Coffee. Those will be your first 5 as we get ready for racing here in Seattle. 3 to go in Season 7. We get started in just 7 minutes. I want to apologize for the lack of the in-game audio tonight. We're having some sort of technical difficulties and unfortunately did not show up until we went live here. And unfortunately, attempts to rectify that have not been successful. So I want to apologize. We're not going to have any game sound tonight during the stream. So I apologize if it's a little bit quiet in these interlude times before we go racing. We're 5 minutes to the 5 in Heat 1A, so sit tight, and we'll be racing in just a moment. It's time to go racing. Heat 1A out onto the water. 5 limited hydroplanes heading out for this evening's event. Let's go ahead and check out our runners as the race within the race is beginning. There is the U-88 Alpine Stars of Connor Harnack heading down towards the back straightaway. Head to the GP course to get there. Scott Worthall, the Miss Castro GTX, also heading out onto the water. Give us 1 second. I'm going to try to fix this sound issue because also low on my end. So we're going to go to the settings here. We're going to try to get that figured out for the next week. But the boats are now out onto the water. First heat of the night. Attempt to score some all-important points here. We've got Harley Gray out in the Dream Warrior. One of our piston-powered boats. These boats have a little bit more of a speed differential to our turbine-powered boats. But it's all about that lane positioning, all about that start position. That's going to be extremely important here in about 3 minutes and 20 minutes time. So most of the boats starting to go quiet here. Except for Scott Witherall, the doctor, who you're watching right now, going through turn number 1. Currently, he's the only boat still up and running as we count down to that 1:15-minute score-up time where the fight for lanes will truly begin. So Witherall, Scott Witherall is another one of those drivers that we're going to be watching because due to that unfortunate Detroit, he is one of the drivers that is battling to stay in Division 1 this season. And right now he's above that mark. It just needs a good weekend the next 3 races to stay up above and into Division 1 starting with tonight's race. Riding along with Witherall now as he heads down into turn number 1. About 2:15, so about a minute from the score up. Let's check out what our other boats are doing. There is the Dutch Brothers there on the back straightaway with Neil Dismang. Up in turn number 2, we've got Scott Przybylski all by himself. He's starting to come around the corner now. And the first one up is Connor Harnack, who's decided, I don't like this spot. I'm going to come around and reset about 45 seconds until, actually about 30 seconds now, until the gun. As now Scott Witherall comes around the corner. Scott Przybylski should be the first one up, and he is there in lane number 1, that multicolored Mr. Pringles boat on the right side of your screen. And now Przybylski hits the button. There goes Neil Dismang on the outside. Harley Gray cuts to the inside. They're going to get around Connor Harnack as we are nearing our time here. So we're now 5 seconds away. Make that 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark. Should be a clean score up. Fight for lanes begins. Scott Przybylski did not get away cleanly. He is going to drop all the way to the back. Meanwhile, Harley Gray is going to get into lane number 1. Neil Dismang's out there in 3. He can go over to 2 if he wants it, and he will take it. So Gray will be in 1. Dismang will be in 2. And on the outside lanes will be Przybylski, Harnack, and Witherall as they come down to the final, into our commitment buoy, which is right here. Last straightaway buoy before the corner. It's Gray and Dismang 1 and 2. Witherall will be in 3. Harnack and Przybylski will be in lanes 4 and 5. So now 30 seconds until the go. Second phase of the start here. Gray going to be the first one on the button. Przybylski there. He's on the outside. He got a much better start. Not sure what happened to Scott Witherall. He's going to be way behind on this start. As Connor Harnack's on the outside, he's going to try to make a flyer at it. As we're 13 seconds until the start of Heat 1A. And now Harley Gray has to lift his foot. And at 5 seconds, it's going to be Dismang and Przybylski coming to the start line. Will either of them be there on time? And Neil Dismang looks like he was on time. We will check. As they come into turn number 1, we will call it on the water. And on the water, it is Neil Dismang leading the way with Harley Gray in second. And Scott Witherall in third. The start was legal. So as they are on the water is how they run on the track. We got 3 boats deck to deck to deck for the lead, heading into turn number 2. Disman kind of gets over into Scott Withrow. Now he gets over into Harley Gray. They don't make any contact. Oh, that looked like a buoy strike. But I think that buoy stayed in the position. Yes, it did. So as we end lap number 1, it is Gray, Dismang, and Witherall fighting for the lead. They start lap number 2. Now the inside, there in the middle, the Dutch Bros of Neil Dismang. He is inches off of Harley Gray going down the straightaway. Now he'll give him some room going into the corner. They are deck to deck still, but Dismang's going to fall into second as Gray gets a great turn from the inside. He's going to hold on to the lead for now. On the back straightaway now, it is deck to deck once again. Dismang takes the lead again with the speed on the outside, but Gray is going to hold on to it by virtue of a little bit more top end in that piston-powered Dream Warrior as they head through turn number 2. Gray pulls out now to about 4 or 5 boat lengths of a lead. Witherall going to shoot way to the outside to build up the speed as we start the final lap. Gray, Dismang, and Witherall, your top 3. Scott Przbilski and Connor Harnack round out the field as in turn 1, Harley Gray in the Dream Warrior has now extended that lead to almost a full rooster tail. The battle is now for second between Dismang and Witherall. Exiting turn 1 down the back straightaway, Dismang's going to pull out by about a boat length on Witherall. Witherall on the outside has the higher top speed for being in lane number 3, but Dismang has the advantage in the corner of taking the lower arc, taking a smaller arc around rather. We'll see how that plays out on the final lap. It's up front. It is all Harley Gray as he exits turn number 2 to pick up the first 400 points of the night. Harley Gray in the Dream Warrior wins Heat 1A in the Montgomery Custom Boats Cup at Seafair. Dismang's just going to hold on to second. Witherall went over there for third. He did go over, but that was after the start-finish line. He is fine. Connor Harnack will be 5th, and Scott Przbilski in 4th. There are your results. We will hear from Harley Gray in a moment as we are underway here at Seafair. Harley Gray, first winner of the night in the Dream Warrior, presented by Lucas Oil, representing for the piston-powered boats. And Harley, that was a 3-boat battle there from beginning to end.
But Spotter was doing a great job and giving me an idea of who was where. And big props to Neil. He did a great job and leaving me a little bit of room, having us a really clean, good race. And that's what it's all about right there.
Yeah, we got the first look of the D1 lanes here in the tight Seattle confines there in the first couple of laps where you guys were inches off of each other. Just how difficult is that to keep your arc and not drift into another boat when they are that close on you?
Oh, it's nerve-wracking for sure. There was a couple times where I turned in a little bit early and had to overcorrect, and Neil did a good job of leaving room so that it wasn't, too much of a tight squeeze. But if it was anybody else, it might have been too tight and we might have ended up colliding. So, but yeah, like I said, big props to Neil and Scott. It was a great race, and hopefully we can keep that going the rest of the night.
All right, Harley, congratulations. Good luck the rest of the evening.
Yep, you too.
We'll be right back with Heat 1B. Heat 1B out on the water, 5 more unlimited hydroplanes. Here is your starting lineup in the second race of the evening. We'll start with the boat on your screen, which is Mickey Washburn and the Miss Coca-Cola. That U9, second in the national high point standings, qualified 5th at a 155.069 miles per hour. In the countback slots as we are now, Mickey has to be pixel perfect the rest of the way to keep Cy Bowen from winning the championship here in Division 1. And Cy Bowen is actually in this heat. We'll talk about him in a minute. DJ Miller, DC presents Def. This is the boat that broke the winning streak for Cy Bowen as far as finals are concerned. He qualified 10th in a 153.374 here tonight. And there is Cy Bowen in the Rockbot 2, qualified second at a 155.736 in the U17. As we said, national high point standing, Cy now at 2,752 points that he needs to knock this out after Harley Gray finished his heat and Cy Bowen was idle. That will change and fluctuate as the night goes on. Scott Garner, the A&W Root Beer, qualified 6th at the 154.146 miles per hour. Great qualifying effort by Scott. And Callan Washburn, the Washburn 3D Race Boats, qualified in the 8th spot at 153.711 miles per hour. So great qualifying efforts by all 5 boats in this heat, which means the start is going to be even more important, because all 5 of these boats are fast, and if you let one of them get lane number 1 and get a good start, that may be it for your race in trying to win this all-important heat as we get ready now for 1 minute and 15. That is what we're looking for the score up in turn 2. Most of our boats have decided to congregate here. As Cy Bowen is there in lane number 2. He has not moved up. He seems to be comfortable in his spot. DJ Miller is there in lane number 1, and Scott Garner is in lane number 3. We just saw a boat go around them. Did not get a good look at who it was. As Mickey Washburn is actually sitting in lane number 1, so that means the U17 is out in lane number 3. Which, as we know, that U17 can win from almost any lane, and at this point, it's not really about raw race wins for Cy Bowen at this point. He just needs to keep that U9, that boat there at the bottom right-hand side of your picture, behind him in whatever results he does get. That's going to help that magic number as they come around turn number 2. And it's a good launch by Cy Bowen around the U9 and around Mickey Washburn as well. As we're 5 seconds. Make that 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Mark, that's a great score up. And it is good. And there goes Cy Bowen all the way over into lane number 1. And Callan Washburn was the other big winner. He's going to get over into lane number 2. Actually, he's got to keep a lane in there. He's going to stay in lane number 3. As he's got to keep a lane in there for Mickey Washburn. Now he should be able to get over into lane number 2 if he wants it, and he will. So Callan Washburn will be in 2. Cy Bowen will be in 1. Callan going to give it a gentleman's attempt to go over to lane number 1, but won't get there before the crossover. Before the commitment pin, rather. Scott Garner will have 3. DJ Miller will be in 4. And Mickey Washburn will be in 5. Those will be your lane assignments for the heat. So now we get ready for the second phase of the start. They've had 1 bite of the apple. Now's your chance to get a second. Mickey Washburn's going to try to make this a running start from the outside. This is his best chance to get him. He can catch a couple of boats napping. I don't think he will. They're going to come around this corner with about 10 seconds. And they'll be full throttle to the start from here as we are at 5 seconds. Make that 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. And we're underway. It's a good start. Mickey Washburn had the lead, but he's all the way out in lane number 5. He's not going to hold it for very long as he cuts all the way over into lane number 2. He's going to hold it through turn number 1, it looks like. as Mickey Washburn just had a great head of steam coming through turn number 2. He's got the lead for now, but Cy Bowen on the inside has got a whole lot of boat speed. Heading down towards turn number 2, it's the Rock Bot, it's the Coca-Cola. It is our principal runners in the championship, and they are battling in the second heat of the night. Washburn has the lead into the corner, but it's going to be Bowen that leads it out of the corner. Bowen takes the lead, heading towards the start-finish line as we start lap number 2. It's the Rockbot and the Miss Coca-Cola side by side as we're starting the second of 3 laps. Washburn letting that boat all hang out, heading down the front straightaway, holds on to it, heads into the corner now as he are keeping it at about a boat length between the two. Make that 2 boat lengths off the corner behind them. DJ Miller is in 3rd. With Scott Garner back there in 5th, and in between those boats is Callum Washburn. Meanwhile, we stay with the leaders heading towards turn number 2, and Cy Bowen, the dominant party all season, showing why he's got the speed. He played the start of the race perfectly, got 2 great starts. Now he's about 2 miles from his first win of the night and lessening that magic number to win the championship. Bowen takes the white flag first, but Mickey Washburn is not giving up. That piston-powered U9 is pulling down the straightaway as they head into turn number 2. He's able to get to about 2 boat lengths where they go into the corner, but then he's on the outside. He'll lose a boat length on the exit. Now, Mickey's going to need a drag boat-like run down the back straightaway, but I don't think he's going to get it. He's already back to a full rooster tail heading into turn number 2. And for Cy Bowen, he keeps the pedal down, heading into the corner in lane number 1, ready to pick up 400 more points toward his national high points title victory if he can keep on this pace. Exits turn number 2, and Cy Bowen in the Rockbot 2, the U17, picks up the winning Heat 1B. And actually, it's going to be Mickey Washburn that picks up the win because Cy Bowen jumped the start. A rare mistake on the start by Cy will drop him to 4th. Mickey Washburn picks up 400 big points, and that is the first true mistake we have seen out of Cy Bowen all year. He will be relegated to 4th with 169 points. So we're going to hear from Mickey Washburn in a minute. It looks like the race is under review, and we will wait to see what the officials have to say. So Cy Bowen makes the first real mistake he's made all season, and the guy that picks up the pieces is the guy chasing him in the points, Mickey Washburn. Mickey, that was the race you needed. You may not have crossed the line first, but you get the first place points because the points leader jumped the start.
Right. Yeah. I was a little nervous when that came over in the first turn, and then I hear coming out of the turn that two guys hit buoys. So of course you automatically think it's your fault. So, but very glad to hear that it wasn't my fault, and I stayed clean.
Oh, it was a buoy strike, not a jump start. I apologize. I didn't even see those buoys coming loose, but that's the first real mistake that you've been able to force the national high points leader into all year. That's got to feel good in a night where you've got to pick up the points.
Yeah, Sai's very, very fast, and you pretty much have to hope he makes a mistake to beat him. You're not going to beat him heads up very often, so I will take a mistake and a win anytime against him.
All right, Mickey, congratulations. Good luck the rest of the night.
All right, thanks, Daryl.
Heat 1C coming up next. Moving right along already to Heat 1C, last heat of the first flight. We got 5 more limited hydroplanes heading out onto the water. Here are your starters and their qualifying times. We'll start with Carson Kelly in the U-66 Seaway Marine. Carson qualified on the pole, wind speed 5.797 miles per hour. Was his fastest lap during the qualifying period, picking up 200 points. Tyler Sams of the Miss Sam's Cola qualified in the 11th spot at 153.342 miles per hour. Jason Drowski, the U19 House of Color with the K, qualified in the 9th spot, 153.603 miles per hour, his fastest lap of record. And Jeff DeWalt in the Mopar qualified 14th at a 150.480 miles per hour. So we've already seen the buoys bite twice here in Seattle. Will they bite a third time as the boats get ready for Heat 1C? 3 races to go in the championship, which means there's a lot to race for. There's drivers trying to stay into Division 1. There are drivers trying to get into the All-Star race, not to mention the battle for the National High Points crown. So a lot of running's going to get more aggressive as we continue through Seattle into Chelan and into San Diego. We're going to start seeing that intensity pick up all night. We already saw it in the second heat of the night, but that intensity could also force you into mistakes that could prove costly for the rest of the night. So let's take a look at what our drivers are doing. Jay Strowski and Carson Kelly in turn number 2. They're going to bring their boats to a stop. So they're about 2 minutes and 45 seconds from the start of the heat. The U9 is going to make Tim Johnson in the U50 is going to make his way down Broadway there in the Miss Tri-Cities. And this boat is very pretty when we run our All-Star race. It was run at night. Tyler Sams, Miss Sam's Cola. Down the back straightaway as well. Now he's going to go ahead and cut the course from back to front. He's going to make that course a little bit longer for himself. As remember, all of this is being done to make sure they hit that start-finish line in a minute 15 seconds. And right now, we've got a gaggle of boats already around turn number 2. They're going to want to go back around if they can, because I don't think you can sit there and wait it out until a minute 15. Jay Sadrowski and Tim Johnson certainly think they can. And I think, Jay, at this point, you're committed, but you're hoping you're going to have enough boat speed here. As now Carson Kelly's on the pedal. Jeff DeWalt's coming off turn number 2. He's going to have to lift a little bit. Tyler Sams might be the best to try to pass these 3. As now here comes Carson Kelly as we're now under 10 seconds. And as we come to the start-finish line, and somehow that works as the fight for lanes begins. And somehow Jay Sadrowski has turned that into lane number 1. He's going to hold lane number 1. No, he's not. I think there was contact there between him and Carson Kelly. They were way too close. And Jay, unfortunately, is going to have to go back around. He's going to end up cutting into the course, and Carson Kelly will have lane number 1. We'll take a look at that at the end of the heat. But Carson Kelly and the Seaway Marine will be in 1. The Miss Tri-Cities and Tim Johnson will be in 2. Tyler Sams will be out in lane number 4. Lane 3 looks like it's going to be open. We'll actually call where Tyler Sams is lane number 3. And then Jeff DeWalt and Jay Sadrowski will be on the outside. So now Tim Johnson gets on the pedal. He'll lead us around. They're in lane number 2. Lane number 1's got Carson Kelly in it. They both come around the corner in about 10 seconds as we get ready to turn them loose for Heat 1C. We're at 5 now. Make that 4. 3, 2, 1. Mark! It's a good start, and we are underway. And here comes Jay Sadrowski making a big-time move across the course. Can he get there in lane number 1? No, he will not. He'll be out there in lane number 4 as Carson Kelly leads the field around turn number 1 for the first time. Good job by all the boats giving themselves room to make it through the corner, but it's the Seaway Marine, Carson Kelly, broken thumb and all, making it leaning towards the turn number 2 on the first of 3. Tim Johnson's there in second, trying to hold on. Mr. Qualifying there, Tim Johnson, trying to hold on to the second spot through turn number 2. He's got no one really around him. He's about a boat lane, or so not about a boat lane, but a rooster tail behind Carson Kelly already as we start the second lap. As this has a vintage feel here for Carson Kelly. Hasn't made a lot of full-time starts, but when he is in the boat, he is bad fast, and that Seaway Marine is proving it as he heads into turn number 2. Sorry, into turn number 1 on lap number 2. Now down the back straightaway, Carson Kelly extends that advantage over a rooster tail to Tim Johnson, while Jay Sadrowski has been able to recover from being knocked inside of the course. He is now in the 3rd spot, heading into turn number 2. Behind him is Tyler Sams and Jeff DeWalt battling for 4th. DeWalt there on the outside trying to catch Tyler Sams. This red, white, and blue U35 Miss Sam's Cola. Holds on to 4th. Jeff DeWalt wants it. I think Sam's going to be able to hold on to it for now. Meanwhile, up front, Carson Kelly extends the lead by over Rooster Tail. You're riding along with them now, and that water is clean blue in front of him. That means he's in the lead. That's where you want to be. And he's got nothing but clean water leading him to 400 points and the win in Heat 1C. If he can hold on for one more turn. So Carson Kelly, a past D2 champion, looking to pick up a win here in Heat 1C. He'll enter turn number 2 with no one around him and 400 points in front. He hits the exit pin and heads to the start-finish line to take the win in Heat 1C. It's going to be Carson Kelly in the Seaway Marine. Tim Johnson, Miss Tri-Cities, will be in second. Jay Sadrowski will rally back for 3rd in the House of Color. Tyler Sams will pick up 4th, 169 points in the Miss Sam's Cola. And Jeff DeWalt will round out the field. So it's Carson Kelly who strikes first in Heat 1C. Results are on the screen, and we will talk to him in a moment as the first heat of the night is over. The first flight is over. And Carson Kelly joins us, the winner of Heat 1C. Carson, that was a bit Season 2 vintage there. You pick up a big win, but you and Jason Drowski had a huge battle for lane number 1. What did you see from your screen there in the fight for lanes?
Yeah, from my screen, I was just hanging back, and I could tell they were a little early, and I pushed it up there, got the overlap on Tim, and then found out Jay must have gotten my wrist tail and spun it out, which sucks. So, yeah, that sucks. And then just kept going from there and ended up winning the heat.
Well, you pick up a big win in the heat, but as we said, the lanes here get really tight here in Seattle, and I think that was a big example of it there with you and Jay just being deck to deck so close for that lane number 1 spot.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Especially when it gets rough, it's pretty hard to hold your lane there. So I think maybe he just hit a wake and just couldn't hold it, and that sucks for him. But yeah.
Well, Cy. Carson, you're the big beneficiary there of all that. You pick up the win in Heat 1C. Congratulations, and good luck the rest of the night.
Thank you.
Second flight coming up next. Sit tight. We'll be right back after this. We did have a challenge there during the break of a lane infraction on Jay Sadrowski. That challenge was made by Tyler Sams. That challenge was unsuccessful. So Sam's points go down to 125 for that heat. And we will be ready for the next race in just a moment as Heat 2A gets ready to get started. Second flight of heats, ready to roll. Here are your starters. We will start the boat that comes away from the dock first. Cybone, the Rockbot 2, looking to play catch-up here after a rare mistake by Cybone. He's currently in the 8th spot on 349 points after striking that buoy in Heat 1B. Next to him is Neil Dismang in the Dutch Bros Coffee. Dismang qualified in position. Let's look for him here on the chart. There he is. He qualified in the 7th spot, finished second in Heat 1A. He's on 390 points. Scott Prisbilski, the U8 Mr. Pringles, ran our first heat of the night after qualifying 13th. Finished 4th in Heat 1A. He's on 199 points. And Callan Washburn, the U44 Washburn 3D Race Boats, qualified in the 8th spot, finished 3rd in Heat 1B. He's on 305 points. So those are your starters for Heat 2A, and this is going to be kind of a redemption tour for Cy Bowen's got to pick up some big points here to make sure that he is still in the final as he finds himself in the 8th spot. Cy has been to every final this season, and currently that magic number back to 2,676 points. So a slight increase from where we started the night. But picking up those 400 points could help a lot here as we get ready. Sorry, here in Heat 2A, not 2B. And we will also have Scott Witherall in this heat. Late joiner to the water. Scott qualified in position number 4. Finished 3rd in Heat 1A. He's on 365 points. So those are your 5 starters. Now Cybone will try to redeem himself here, but he's got a lot of drivers that also want those 400 points for their own season, so this is not going to be a gimme race by any stretch of the imagination. Because you're closing in on about a minute until the go. Scott Brzbilski starting that piston-powered engine. Neil Dismang behind him, trying to sandwich in the U17, but Sai's not going to allow himself to get sandwiched in. He's going to keep Neil Dismang there on the outside, and in doing so, is going to get himself lane number 1 in the process. And, a little bit of bumper boats there. No harm, no foul. They'll keep going as Sai crossed over. And now it gets into lane number 2. Shouldn't be a call from the officials, but we will see. Scott Przybylski decided that he's going to go back around and reset Sai Bowen. He's now going to cut across the front of Neil Dismang and compromise his run. As there are about 15 seconds until the fight for lanes. Now they get on it, and Callan Washburn and Scott Przybylski are going to have a whole lot of boat speed compared to the boats on their inside, and they should be able to get lanes 1 and 2. No, they won't. Both of them are early. And Sai Bowen was right on time. And he flips! Sai Bowen flips! What is going on? Sai Bowen at this point will not make the final with that. And has the commentator's curse struck again? We talked about the championship earlier today. Sai Bowen has been bulletproof, and with lane 1 in his grasp, the U17 has gone up and over. What is... And now Neil Dismang will have lane number 1, Witherall in 2, Washburn in 3, Przybylski in 4. It's wide open in Heat 2A as we get ready for the start. We're 5 seconds, make that 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Neil Dismang jumped the start. There's going to be Callan Washburn there that's going to have the lead there in lane number 2. Scott Witherall there on the inside. He's got lane number 2, as Washburn's in lane number 3. And it's Callan Washburn off of turn number 1, lap number 1. He's got the lead in Heat 2A. Washburn down the back straightaway there. He's got a couple of boat lengths on the boats to his left and right, but Witherall's in lane number 1. He's going to give him the most challenge in the lane number 2. The Castrol GTX. It's been a long time since we've had Witherall on the top spot at the end of a heat. As we start lap number 2, though, Callan Washburn looking for a heat win of his own. We have not seen him on the top spot much at all this season, if at all, as we start lap number 2. Washburn leading the way from lane number 3. Should be able to get over into lane number 2 now. Witherall, though, starting to pick up the pace there in lane number 1. He's drawn it in to just a couple of boat lanes between the two. Now it's going to be deck to deck down the back straightaway. Washburn now holding Witherall tight down the back straightaway. Still a couple of lanes, a full lane off the buoy row. So Witherall still has a little bit of room to maneuver, but I think that inside buoy is off kilter. It is, and I think Scott Witherall may have hit that, but we'll call it as it is on the water. And on the water right now, Witherall has the lead between him and Callan Washburn. As we start the final lap now, Washburn gets the lead back in the Washburn 3D race boats. Witherall is in second. The Mr. Pringles is in third, and Neil Dismang is dropped to the 4th spot. Into turn 1 once again. Witherall there on the inside with Washburn on the outside. Oh, they make contact. Washburn hold it. Oh, and he cannot. Callan Washburn gave it all he had, was unable to hold on, and Scott Witherall, as long as that buoy strike is not his, is going to cruise to a win here in Heat 2A. It's either going to be him or Scott Przybylski with the win. They exit turn number 2, heading to the start-finish line buoy, and Witherall's got the lead on the water. And it will stay with Scott Witherall. He picks up the win in Heat 2A. Neil Dismang will come across in third. Scott Przybylski in second. But the story of the race So it was Neil Dismang that hit the buoy. The story of the race, Cy Bowen, lane 1 in his grasp. The boat immediately turns over. Bowen will not score. And outside of a miracle, Bowen will not race the final tonight in Seattle. Well, the SNHL Montgomery Custom Boats Cup at Seafair has been dramatic, and it all but assures the points race will go to Chelan and potentially, at this point, to San Diego. But we're going to talk with our heat race winner in a moment. And now joining us is the winner of Heat 2A, Scott Witherall. Scott, we don't get to do this that often, but you pick up a much-needed race win there, and that heat was extremely consequential. You had the flip with Cy Bowen, the race between you and with you and Callum Washburn. It was definitely one of the most entertaining heats of the season.
It's definitely unpeculiar that Cy flipped. And Callan, oh geez, I looked at the rewind. It looked like he turned into me a little too much, trying to square out the corner too soon. As I bled out a little bit. So two boats can't occupy the same space at the same time. Good race though.
Well, Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
You could tell who I talked to a lot up here by the mistakes tonight. But Scott, it has been a season that probably wasn't to your liking, but picking up a heat win tonight, what does that do for your confidence in a night that so far has gone pretty well?
I wasn't so good in Seattle. This year was a little tough for me. I missed a few races. I had a lot of surgeries to get the peanut out of my lung.
He said peanut.
Yeah. So other than that, I've been feeling pretty good, and let's hopefully. I love that heat I had with Neil in the first one. I'm sorry about Callan, man. That was not intentional.
Well, Scott,
that's good.
Well, Scott, it was a great watch from here. Congratulations. Good luck the rest of the night.
Thank you, Daryl.
Heat 2B coming up next. So with all those dramatics in Heat 2A, we also had a challenge for the contact between Scott Przybilski and Callan Washburn, launched by Callan. That challenge was not successful. And Callan, since he DNF'd, loses 80 qualifying points. He had 80, so he now has 0. And that'll drop him to 145 points. So Callan Washburn, fortunately, the challenge does not work, and just that will compound what was a rough heat. So Heat 2B coming up next. Heat 2B ready to go after what was a entertaining Heat 2A. Now we'll see what Heat 2B has on offer as Connor Harnack heads onto the water. The Harnack Motorsports qualified 15th and finished 5th in Heat 1A. He's on 157 points. And DJ Miller in DC Presents Deft. DJ finished 2nd in Heat 1B. He's on 360 points. Jason Drowski, the U19 House of Color, will also be joining us. He ended up finishing 5th in Heat 1C. He's on 197 points. And Carson Kelly in the Seaway Marine qualified on the pole, won Heat 1C. He's on a perfect 600 points. And Tim Johnson, the U50 Miss Tri-Cities. Tim qualified in 3rd spot, finished 2nd in Heat 1C. He's on 460 points. So, after championship leader flips and a big battle for the lead, ends with another boat going over, let's see what the drivers in Heat 2B have in store for us. Maybe this heat will be a little less dramatic, although I doubt it, given that we are talking about Division 1 here. We'll see what everyone is up to on the back straightaway. DJ Miller just cut the course from back to front. Following the U19, heading into turn number 2, we saw Connor Harnack there on the bottom of your picture. DJ around turn number 2. He's out in lane number 2 as we see it. Follows the U19 around as we're 2 minutes and 40 seconds away from the start. They'll come to the front straightaway, and it looks like the U19 is going to try that start on the front straightaway again, where he sits at the front and tries to cross the line at a minute 15, but I think Jay might be a little bit further up than he was last time. Nope, he's in about the same spot. Just going to try to make this work here as we're now under a minute. And the rest of the field makes their way into turn number 2. There's the U50. He's going to come around the corner and sit. And now everyone is lined up behind Jay Sadrowski. And we're going to see how this plays out. It almost made it once earlier. Unfortunately, ended up hitting the buoy, or actually ended up inside the course. Can Jay Sadrowski make it work a second time, and this time hold on to the spot? So we're 15 minutes to go. 15 seconds to go. Now 10 seconds. They hit the pedal. Jay might have enough runway to hold on to lane number 1 as there are 5 seconds. Make that 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. Mark. Good score up. Fight for lanes begins. Jay Sadrowski for the second time got lane 1, and this time will he be able to keep it? Carson Kelly has to give him a little bit more space this time, and Jay will hold on to it through turn number 1 and heads down the back straightaway towards the commitment pin. They've got Tim Johnson there in the tunnel. Was not a good getaway, though, for DJ Miller. He'll end up in the 4th spot, but Jay Sadrowski will take lane 1. Tim Johnson in 2. Carson Kelly in 3. DJ Miller will be in 4. And in 5 is Connor Harnack. So around turn number 2 we go for the second time in this flight. It's going to be Jay Sadrowski that gets away first. We are 10 seconds until the start here in Heat 2B. Let's turn them loose in the second heat of the second flight. We're 4 seconds. 3, 2, 1, mark. And we are underway in Heat 2B. It's a clean start. And Carson Kelly's got the lead for now in lane number 3. They come into turn number 1, though, and it's going to be Jay Sadrowski that holds on to the lead. Tim Johnson's in the tunnel in second, while Miller and Harnack are there in lanes 4 and 5 on the outside. But up front, it is Kelly, it is Sadrowski battling for the lead as they head towards turn number 2. Sadrowski there in lane number 1. He's got the long way around his and Carson Kelly and Tim Johnson make contact through turn number 2. Officials will have a look at that as they start the second lap. We'll call it as it is on the water, and it's the House of Color leading the way from the Seaway Marine. Zadrowski with the lead. Kelly in second. Third is DJ Miller in DC Presents Deft. Fourth is Tim Johnson in the Miss Tri-Cities. As Tim Johnson was able to keep it going, he didn't go over. But we are missing one boat on the water. We will deal with that at the end of the race as Zadrowski makes his way towards turn number 2. He's got a rooster tail advantage over the rest of the field as Zadrowski through turn number 2, carrying the mail for the team as we start the last lap of Heat 2B here in the Montgomery Custom Boats Cup at Seafair. Last lap now, Jay Zadrowski has the lead. Carson Kelly not giving up in the Seaway Marine into turn number 2. Turn number 1, House of Color has the lead. Jay Zadrowski holds it by about a rooster tail. Kelly through turn number 2 makes a good turn, but is unable to make up any boat lengths. He'll stay a rooster tail back, and at this point, Carson Kelly probably going to pack it in for 300 points after that great start, winning the first heat of the night. Jay Zadrowski almost put it over. Manages to get those sponsons back onto the water and through turn number 2. Looking for 400 points in the win in Heat 2B. Going to go to Jay Zadrowski in the U19 House of Color. Carson Kelly will be second. DJ Miller third. And Tim Johnson going to finish in the 4th spot. After that, boat hooked after contact between him and Carson Kelly. Managed to keep that boat on the water, and he will finish in the 4th spot. Results on your screen. Connor Harnack did not complete an official lap, so he will get a DNS. But it's Jay Zadrowski that picks up the win, and we will talk to him next. And Jay Zadrowski is the winner of Heat 2B. Jay, you tried that move earlier, and it almost worked out, and this time it worked to perfection. You got lane 1, you got the win.
Points, and that was a very fast heat. I had to give it a shot, and it worked.
Well, it's got to feel good. That's one to put in your back pocket, but we've now seen back-to-back heat, some contact here, and the tight confines of Seattle starting to bite some of these drivers as we wrap up the second flight.
Yeah, it's tight out there, and then when you get on the backstretch, the log boom creates obviously more wake, and it's rough. And if you don't hit the start and you start to fall back, you might as well sit back because it's not worth it, I don't think.
All right, Jay, congratulations. Good luck the rest of the night.
Thank you, sir. Go Commanders.
Yeah, well, hopefully they'll have some good luck tomorrow against the Buccaneers. But thanks and good luck.
See you, buddy.
Yep. Heat 2C coming up next. So Carson Kelly did get a lane violation for contact with the U50, leading to the spin there that we saw on the very first lap. So Carson Kelly will go down to the back of the order, as Carson will now finish in the 4th spot. That moves to 3rd Tim Johnson and DJ Miller to 2nd. We've got Heat 2C coming up next. So last heat of the final flight, last heat of the second flight. Heat 2C out onto the water. Here are the starters in a heat that is setting up to be dramatic. Has got the Dream Warrior of Harley Gray qualified in the 12th spot. Harley ended up winning Heat 1A. Picked up 440 points. Sorry, he currently has 440 points after qualifying in the 12th spot. Next to him is Jeff DeWalt in the Mopar. DeWalt qualified in position number 14. Finished 4th in Heat 1C. He's on 199 points. Mickey Washburn, the U9 Miss Coca-Cola. This is the boat looking to make some headway. Won Heat 1B after qualifying in the 5th spot. He just watched about 20 minutes ago now the U17 go up and over. Mickey Washburn has a huge opportunity to make up some points in the National High Points title fight. And Tyler Sams, the Miss Sam's Cola, qualified 11th. Finished 5th in Heat 1C. Got 125 points after a failed challenge. He's on 175 points. So that is your lineup for Heat 2C. And for Mickey Washburn in the U9, we'll get that boat on the screen here. Actually, before I say that, Scott Garner, also in this heat, late arriving out onto the water. Garner qualified in the 6th spot, 5th in Heat 1B. He's on 227 points. Now, as we were saying with the U9, Mickey Washburn, the Miss Coca-Cola, has an opportunity to pick up 400 points, would deal a body blow in the National High Point standings, would cut that deficit from currently 3,124 points. As he was sitting idle, it would probably now go under 3,000. However, that National High Points magic number has gone down despite Cy Bowen flipping. It's at 2,250 points currently, but that'll change once Mickey Washburn completes this heat. So Washburn and DeWalt are our furthest boats up, so we're at a minute 45. Remember, at 1 minute 15, the fight for lanes begins. And right now, it's like Jeff DeWalt is going to be in an advantageous spot. He's going to be up in lane number 2 at least. Unless there's other boats that come and overtake him as they get underway. Now at 25, 10 seconds to go. Now make that 5 seconds until the fight for lanes. We are at 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. And it's a good score up. Fight for lanes begins. Jeff DeWalt's in lane number 2, but he is going to get swallowed up there by Scott Garner. Meanwhile, Mickey Washburn is in lane number 1. Going around turn number 1's got no one really to challenge him, so the battle's going to be who's going to be in lanes 2 and 3. DeWalt still has lane number 2, but Garner's going to try to get the space to be able to cut over and overlap that U31. I don't think he's going to get there, though. He will not get there. So it'll be Washburn in 1, DeWalt in 2, Garner in 3, 4 will be Sams, and 5 will be Harley Gray. So not a good score up for Harley Gray. Great one for Jeff DeWalt and a good one for Mickey Washburn as well. Now Harley Gray's going to try to make his way into the inside. In lane number 3, we'll have to have the officials look at that one. As now Mickey Washburn is way behind the rest of the field. As they're actually going to be a little bit early coming around the corner. That should be good for him as we turn him loose in Heat 2C. 7 seconds until the start. Make that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. And that was a good start, but a slow roll across the line. Jeff DeWalt had the lead. Now Tyler Sams is going to get it. DeWalt edges out. Taps Tyler Sams, sends him out. Meanwhile, we had a boat get washed down. That was Harley Gray that ends up washed down. And in all of that, Mickey Washburn's got the lead. So another chaotic start. And this time it's Mickey Washburn with the lead. But look at Jeff DeWalt on the outside, battling for a heat race win. We haven't had Jeff DeWalt win a race in quite some time. Hoping he can pick up the heat win here as he exits turn number 2. And he's got the speed on the outside as we start lap number 2. DeWalt gonna pull even with Mickey Washburn down the down the front straightaway. Heading towards turn number 1. We'll ride along with this U31. As DeWalt, he only loses about a boat length there. Now exits turn number 1. And heads down the back straightaway as DeWalt was hanging there with Mickey Washburn. Now Mickey's going to pull out by about half a rooster tail. But he's still hanging tough out there. He's going to keep Mickey Washburn honest as we head through turn number 2. As Washburn looking to pick up 400 points and jump right back into this championship battle as we start the final lap of Heat 2C. Mickey Washburn has the lead. Second is Jeff DeWalt in the Mopar, and Tyler Sams, great run for him. He's in third right now in the Miss Sam's Cola. So through turn 1, Mickey Washburn holds on to the leads. Got it out by Rooster Tail now. And Jeff DeWalt's going to be a great points pickup for him no matter what. But this time he's going to have to settle for second. And those 300 points as Washburn heads into turn number 2. No one around him. 400 points waiting for him for the exit of turn number 2 as Washburn hits the exit pin, heads to the start finish line, and picks up the win in Heat 2C. Mickey Washburn closes accounts with a victory. Jeff DeWalt will end up second. Third is going to end up Tyler Sams. For some reason we couldn't get him on screen. Scott Garner will be 4th, and Harley Gray will end up in the 5th spot. Results are on your screen. Unfortunately, Jeff DeWalt, Tyler Sams, all that good conversation we were having, all for naught as they jump the start. Mickey Washburn will be your race winner, however. And Scott Gardner, Harley Gray will move up to second and third. And we'll hear from Mickey next. Mickey Washburn, the winner of Heat 2C, joins us. And Mickey, that was the best case scenario. Your championship rival has an issue in his heat, and you come right back out and pick up 400 points.
Yeah, some more luck on size miscue there. His setup gave out on him, and he flipped and got 0 points, and I was lucky enough to get another 400, so that's all fine in my book.
Yep, so at this point, you do pick up some points. You keep that magic number a little bit higher. Obviously, it was going to be a stretch for that championship to be clinched tonight, but it's got to feel better that you're putting a lot of pressure on him for the next race to try to clinch it with all the issues he's been having this week.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, 100% happy for Cy what he's done this year, but also want to make him work for it a little bit, huh?
So, Mickey, you're the 1 seed right now. More than likely, we'll see you in the final. Good luck the rest of the night.
Thanks, Daryl.
Final flight of heats coming up next. Final flight, first heat out onto the water. These are the 5 boats. This is what they need to do to try to get into the final. First on our screen is Harley Gray in the Dream Warrior. Gray currently sits in the 5th spot. Needs a decent finish. He'll lock his way into the final with his max being 160 points. Next up is Cy Bowen, the U-17 Rockbot, down in uncharacteristic 11th place. Bowen has to win, and it needs a whole lot of help in front of him to make the final. Either as a front line, really at this point, as the trailer most realistically, he's going to need a lot of help. That is something we are not used to saying. Actually, we just had a reset of the clock. Looks like we may have had an incorrect wind setting. We're back going. Tim Johnson is on the screen now. Tim in the 4th spot, 685 points. Top half finish should be enough to lock him in. And Carson Kelly, who was in 2nd at 769 points. Looking at how the points step up, simply finishing this heat will be enough to put Carson Kelly into the front line of the final. And those are our runners in this heat. We're missing one boat, trying to see who it is. And it is the U-88 Alpine Stars of Connor Harnack. Don't think Connor is going to be back onto the water. We'll see who is in their boat channels. There is no Connor Harnack, so Harnack will not be competing tonight in just what has been a rough season for Connor Harnack, unfortunately. And another rough turn here is now Cy Bowen has gone back to the pits. He's been having issues with the drive line on that boat. He unfortunately has left the water. Now he's back on it. We're hoping that U-17 can get back out here. Uncharacteristic issues here plaguing that boat as Tim Johnson makes his way around turn number 1. I cannot get these corners right today. And we got Kellen Washburn on the water. He was a late arriving boat. So sorry, Harnack is not until Heat 3C. I apologize there. But it's Kellen Washburn that's supposed to be in this heat. He's on 145 points. And at this point, well, actually, Kellen was on 225 because he lost all his qualifying points. Callan at this point is racing for pride, so I apologize there for Connor Harnack. And as we're getting ready to set up for the fight for lanes, it looks like everything with Cy Bowen is running well. He's going to try that run up that his teammate Jay Sadrowski tried earlier. We'll see if that works. Meanwhile, going around towards the backstretch, Harley Gray and Carson Kelly. Going to try to get a run around the outside, I believe, with how much time we have left. And we'll see how that works out. We're at 1:50. Remember, Fight for Lane starts at 1:15. Up front, Tim Johnson and Cy Bowen. Going to try to make the short run at it. For 15 seconds until the go. Cy Bowen, Tim Johnson get underway. So we're now 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark. Good score up. Cy Bowen gets lane 1, and this time he's going to be able to keep it. It looks like. That boat stays in the water, heading into turn number 1. Almost contact between him and Carson Kelly. They hold on. And going through turn number 1, it's going to be Carson Kelly Cy Bowen battling for lane number 1, and it should be Bowen in 1, Kelly in 2. Washburn will be in lane number 3. As they hit the commitment buoy, Tim Johnson will be on the outside, and he'll be joining Harley Gray out there. So Carson Kelly with nothing to lose. Cy Bowen with everything to gain here. As we get ready to start Heat 3A, second phase of the start coming up. Tim Johnson can try to make a run around the outside. There's like 3 boats will try to drag the inside 2 up early as they come around turn number 2. They'll hit the exit pin at about 10 seconds. And now the run to the line begins. Let's turn them loose in Heat 3A. We're at 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Good start, and it's going to be Cy Bowen in second because Harley Gray leads the way for now. But heading into turn number 1 is going to be Cy Bowen with the lead there in lane number 1 to his outside. He's got Carson Kelly and Harley Gray battling it out for second. Gray has the spot from lane number 3. That's going to drop Carson Kelly into the tunnel. Right along with them now. He's got water on the left of him, water on the right. He's stuck in the middle with us as he heads into turn number 2. He's going to get past Harley Gray to pick up the second spot. But no, Harley Gray's hanging tough out there in lane number 3. Kelly getting real close to that U29. Way close, makes contact, gets into the wake of the U17. I think he just got wet. Carson Kelly's really going to get wet. Jumps to the outside. That boat manages to hold power. But up front, Cy Bowen finally having the heat he expected today, as it has been a rough one for the U17. But through turn number 2, turn number 1, I keep mixing up these turns. Sorry, Cy Bowen in the rock bot has the lead over the Harley Gray in the Dream Warrior. Bowen through turn number 2. Harley Gray there behind him, about a rooster tail back. Carson Kelly's also dropped a rooster tail back, so we fall into a little bit of a boat parade as we start the final lap, with Bowen in this U17 continuing to lead the way. The Rockbot needs a win, needs boats in front of him to run into trouble. And right now that U17 is going to check off the first box of that, winning this heat. Now he needs the trouble for the next 2 heats, which we'll see in a moment, as Harley Gray in second can hold on to those 300 points, go right to the front line of the final. Carson Kelly going to finish in the 3rd spot. Looks like he'll be on his way to the final as well. But Cy Bowen, a win or eliminated race. Could hit the exit at turn number 2, head down to the start-finish line buoy. He's going to pick up the win in Heat 3A, the Montgomery Custom Boats Cup at Seafair. And now he has to wait. Gray going to pick up the 300 points for second. Carson Kelly 3rd with 225. Tim Johnson pick up 169 points for 4th. And Callum Washburn eventually will make his way around for 5th with 127 points. Finish on your screen now. We'll talk to Cy Bowen in a moment. So Cy Bowen finally joins us for an interview here after the win in Heat 3A. Cy, it's been a struggle, but no matter what, you end the night with a win.
Yeah, not the way we wanted it to go. We, of course, hit a buoy in the first heat, and it was just me getting scared, turning the boat a little bit, and it hooked way better than I thought it was going to. So we botched the first one, and then the second one, a wheel and pedals just completely quit working and ended up going up on our lid in that one. So it's been a struggle. I know that we are able to compete with everybody here. Obviously, we just went up against some of the fastest guys here tonight and ended up winning that thing. So it's just a matter of some unfortunate stuff, a mistake on my part, and then, of course, a unlucky scenario with the wheel stop working. So other than that, we should be in the final. But now I think we need everybody else just to wreck the rest of the night, and then we could make it.
Yeah, I think at this point, looking at the points, you need absolute chaos. But at least you're able to protect the points lead a little bit going into next week or into next month. And, hey, on the bright side, all of those wins and all those heat race wins do add up to where tonight, even though it wasn't your night, it's not as big of an issue as it could have been.
Yeah, I think we're still, depending on how everybody else goes, we should be roughly like 2,500 points over a second, depending on, of course, scenarios. But all the rest of the season kind of helped cushion up till now, and really we can kind of cruise for the last 3 races and make mistakes. Of course, we don't want to. We rather win here on out, but it's not always the case. So, yeah, we have a cushion going into the next 2, and hopefully we can go there and win. If not, we should still end up on top.
All right, Cy, congratulations. Good luck the rest of the night.
Thank you.
Heat 3B coming up next. Heat 3B now, here at the SNHL Montgomery Custom Boats Cup at Seafair. And this is where Cy Bowen really needs some help. He really needs utter chaos here in these last couple of races. But here are your starters in these heats and what they need to do to make the final. Scott Przybilski currently on 499 points. Needs a top half finish to get into the trailer spot. Could actually jump into the front line with a win. But even a second would be good enough to get him into, at least for now, trailer boat spot. But a win would be best. Jeff DeWalt in the U31. Unfortunately, we thought he was going to have a second place in his previous heat. That was all for naught. Jeff DeWalt in a win and in situation to try to get into the final, at least temporarily. Neil Dismang in the Dutch Pros in the 8th spot needs just a decent finish to get himself back into the front line. He's currently sitting on 615 points. And Tyler Sams, U35, has 344 points. He's also in a must-win situation. And DJ Miller, DC Presents Deft, currently sitting in the 7th spot by virtue of being idle. A decent finish for him will also be enough to lock him in to the final. So we've got some guys that are safe, but a lot of guys that need to win to get in. That is a recipe for chaos. We'll see if we get any here in the next 2 minutes and 48 seconds here in Heat 3B of the Montgomery Custom Boats Cup at Seafair. Tyler Sams makes his way through turn number 1. The boat's starting to get set up for that magical run into turn number 1 in the fight for lanes, as most of the field is situated here at the exit of turn number 2. And I think Jay Sadrowski and Cy Bowen have now got something started with their short run strategy to get lane number 1. Now you've got 3 boats up here trying it at the same time. You got Jeff DeWalt in there trying to make a run for it. Lane number 2, you've got the U1 and Scott Przybilski there in lane number 3, but he's going to go around, try to get a run around the outside. And hope the U35 down there is going to make a cut and not go all the way around turn number 1, because I don't think he's going to have time to do so. He's actually going to make his way around turn number 1. We'll see if he'll have time to get there before minute 15. But up front, DJ Miller and Jeff DeWalt are slowly making their way down towards the start-finish line. Now at 10 seconds to go, they step on the loud pedal. I was going to make it 5 seconds now. Make that 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark. Good score up, and it's Neil Dismang that's going to get lane number 1. From all of that, as the slow roll strategy did not work for Jeff DeWalt or DJ Miller. So back there's a 3-way battle for lane number 2. DJ Miller, though, is in a bad wake. He might end up losing lane number 2 to Jeff DeWalt. As they head down the back straightaway, DeWalt can get over if he wants it. He will get over and take lane number 2. That'll push DJ Miller all the way out to lane number 4. And in all of that, Neil Dismang gets lane number 1. It'll be Sams and Miller out there in 4 and 5 on the inside. Will be Scott Przybilski and Jeff DeWalt in the middle. So now getting ready for the second start. Drivers make their way around turn number 2. They'll get there at about 11 seconds. As they get ready to turn them loose in Heat 3B, Scott Przybilski will lead them down at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark. Good score up. We're underway. Scott Przybilski is in second as Tyler Sams got the lead heading into turn number 1. And they're going to coalesce here into the corner. It's going to be Jeff DeWalt, I think, that's going to get the lead off the corner temporarily. Yes, it is. It's a 4-boat scramble for the lead heading down the back straightaway. Jay Ayler triple decker now heading down towards turn number 2. Scott Przybilski's got the lead from lane number 3, but Neil Dismang and Jeff DeWalt pushing hard on those inside lanes as Scott Przybilski cut in sharply. And he's going to make contact with Jeff DeWalt, who goes over and out. So officials will look at that. Przybilski, though, will lead. Starting lap number 2 in the Mr. Pringles. Tyler Sams in second. Neil Dismang in the third spot. As we head into turn number 1. Przybilski there, lane number 2. It got real tight there in turn number 2. And that caused Jeff DeWalt to go over and out. That would Przybilski, if he's DNF'd, would help Cy Bowen. What wouldn't help Cy Bowen is the boat that would end up winning the race, which right now would be Neil Dismang in the Dutch Bros. But Dismang's going to try to win it on the water. He's holding Scott Przybilski tough through turn number 2, forcing Przybilski to have to leave him a lane in there as we start the final lap here in Heat 3B. Przybilski has the lead on the water. Dismang is in second. Third is Tyler Sams in the Miss Sam's Cola. So Dutch Bros there in lane number 1. Scott Przybilski holding him off for now. Dismang now gets into the wake. Almost washes that boat down. Manages to hold on to it, but it's going to lose a boat length in the process. That should be enough for Scott Przybilski to win this race on the water. In the officials' room will be a whole nother story. As Przybilski heads into turn number 2. He's got Dismang there on his inside. Dismang let it all hang out. couldn't get the spot, and it's going to be Scott Przybylski who unofficially takes the win of Heat 3B. Dismang will be second. Tyler Sams comes across in third, and DJ Miller finishes fourth. There are your results. We'll hear from the winner, whoever that is, next. And Scott Przybylski picks up the win, so 400 points goes to the Mr. Pringles. But Scott, that was a tight turn too. A lap number one with you there with you, Jeff DeWalt, Neil Dismang, and a whole lot of others. Talk us through it.
Oh yeah, that was it's definitely a little tight, but I guess the judges thought it was okay, so here I am. But yeah, that was a tough race. It's hard. I was trying to hold out in lane 3, but keep it tight so they wouldn't catch up to me. But it was hard to fight off Neil too. It was tough. It was a good win. Very excited.
So Scott, with that win, you should be in the final. You sit on 899 points now. What would that mean for you to pick up a win here? You're still looking for that first win in SNHL.
Yeah. And I've been struggling to make finals this year, so hopefully I can finally win a final heat here, and it should help with the national high points too. Kind of in a battle for second right now. So.
All right, Scott. Well, congratulations and good luck in the final.
All right, thank you, Daryl.
Heat 3C coming up next. Last qualifying heat of the night, and we can report that unfortunately the luck did not work out for Cy Bowen. He is out. He will end up in the 9th spot tonight with 749 points, depending on how things finish in the following heat. Connor Harnick in the U88 Alpine Stars, this point running for Pride. He's already out. He's on 157 points. His max is 557. That will not get him into the final. Jay Sadrowski, the U19 House of Color, is next. Sadrowski, currently sitting on 597 points. Needs a top 3 finish to get in. So needs a top 2 finish, rather, to get him onto the into the front line of the final. 3rd place should be enough to get him a trailer spot. Scott Witherall in the Castrol GT, in the Miss Castrol GTX. The Doctor sitting in the 8th spot. Decent finish should get him on the front line of the final. And Mickey Washburn currently sitting 3rd on 920 points. 2nd place in the National High Points Championship. Finishing this heat will be enough to lock him in. And Scott Garner in the U50 A&W Root Beer. Garner currently sitting in the 12th spot. Needs a win to get to the final, or he's out. So that is your lineup. Winning you're in scenarios, just finished scenarios. Some drivers taking it easy, others will not be. We've already seen some calamity tonight. Will that continue in the final battle for the spots in the final? Is up front in turn 2 is where all the action is. You see Connor Harnack making his way around. Mickey Washburn, Jay Sadrowski. Jay exiting turn number 2. Probably going to try a short run strategy again. And Mickey Washburn's going to follow him up as well. So Mickey can do some reconnaissance for the final here, while Jay Sadrowski, he's got to get points. As we were coming down to a minute before the fight for lanes, and Connor Harnack looking for Pride. How big would a win be for him if he were able to end his night with 400 points despite not going on to the final? That could be a great pick-me-up heading into Chelan. So Jay now trying to drag everybody up. And he's got a couple of boats around that corner. Got Connor Harnack, Scott Witherall around the corner. And coming down the front straightaway with them as we're about 30 seconds now until the fight for lanes. Closing in on 15 now is Sadrowski. Waiting to get on the pedal. Harnack going to follow him. And Harnack's going to get on the pedal. Strauss is going to wait. Now he's on it with 10 seconds to go. Here comes Mickey Washburn, though, with a full head of steam at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark! Good score up. Fight for lanes begins. Jay Sadrowski is there, but Mickey Washburn had more boat speed at the start. Scott Witherall was way late. He's going to end up at the back of this one. As Mickey Washburn, though, is going to be in lane number 2. Harnack's going to nearly gets washed down. He gets kicked out to lane number 3. And Sadrowski's going to hold on just enough to keep Mickey Washburn from getting lane number 1. So it'll be Sadrowski in 1, Washburn 2. Harnack will be out in 3. Actually, it'll be Garner that gets to 3 instead. Harnack and Witherall will be on the outside. Last run to the line in the qualifying heats up next. Who's got the speed? Is it going to be Garner? Is it going to be Sadrowski? Could Harnack make a surprise? Could Witherall make a jump from the outside? Can Mickey Washburn make it work from lane number 2? We're going to see here in about 10 seconds as we turn them loose for Heat 3C. Heading down the front straightaway at 5 seconds to go. Make that 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark! It's a great start for Jay Sadrowski and the rest of the field, and we are underway with a Heat 3 seed and Sadrowski easily into turn 1 first. Second is going to be Mickey Washburn. Harnack in third. Witherall's jumped to the inside, trying to get fourth spot. Sorry, trying to get the third spot from Harnack. Now he jumps back to the outside. They're stretched out into a boat parade here as they head into turn number 2 with Jay Zadrowski leading the way through the first of 3. So Zadrowski, a great start, found a milling strategy that works for him, and he has kept to it, and it may earn him 2 wins here on the night as we start the second lap. House of Color leads the way. Miss Coca-Cola in second. Mickey Washburn is looking to build some more points on his championship rival as they head into turn number 2 as Connor Harnack heads into the turn. And turn number 1 in third. And Witherall behind him in fourth as Scott Witherall's now jumped to the inside. Now he has to jump back to the outside as Harnack makes him cross over his wake. Heading down the back straightaway, and Harnack holds on to third. Meanwhile, up front, Jay Zadrowski, no one around him, needs this win to make the final and should be able to hold on to it. Barring any buoy strikes, any flips, any acts of God here on the last lap, Jay Zadrowski could find himself in the final with that U19 as we start the final lap. House of Color is in first. Miss Coca-Cola in second. Alpine Stars in third. But the fourth place boat, Scott Witherall, Miss Castrol GTX, is charging on the outside. Scott Garner in fifth in the Miss A&W. Through turn 1 they go, and Harnack starting to skip on our screen a little bit. It's going to force Scott Witherall to go to the outside. That should hold him the third spot. But up front, Jay Zadrowski was not challenged in all 3 laps. He made the short shoot work. It's going to work for 400 points and a ticket into the final as Jay Zadrowski hits the final turn. It goes to the start-finish line. Is going to take the win in Heat 3C. Mickey Washburn picks up 300 points for second. It's going to be Connor Harnack that holds on for third as Scott Witherall managed to jump to the inside of him. Witherall will have to settle for fourth, and Scott Garner will be fifth. There are your results on the screen. Qualifying is done. Up next, we run for the championship in Montgomery Custom Boats Cup at Seafair. But we'll talk to our heat race winner and set up your final heat lineup next. Jay Zadrowski picks up the win at Heat 3C. And Jay, you've got something working there with that short shoot run into the fight for lanes and be able to hold on to lane 1 twice. And you pick up the win 2 out of 3 times.
It is such a sketchy mark, Daryl. you got to risk it, though. I knew I needed first or second to make the final, so it's worth a shot.
Well, you pick up first. That should get you into the final. They just haven't tabulated the points yet. Unfortunately, Cy has not had the best of luck, but it seems like you've picked up the luck tonight instead.
You know, I would have never expected him not to be in the final, so it realistically makes it a lot easier for me because he's the only guy I run against.
Well, Jay, congratulations and good luck in the final.
Thank you, sir.
We will set up the results. We will set up our final heat up next here in the Montgomery Custom Boats Cup at Seafair. And we'll talk about the 7 they're going to run for the championship. So the points are going in. Mickey Washburn, Jay Sadrowski, Carson Kelly, Harley Gray are in the final. DJ Miller is out. Tim Johnson will be the trailer. And we can confirm that. Oh, no, Scott Witherall is going to make the trailer instead. So Witherall will be the trailer. Przybylski is 6th. Dismang, Harley Gray, Carson Kelly, Jay Sadrowski, Mickey Washburn will be on the front line of the final on the SNHL Montgomery Custom Boats Cup at Seafair. And that final is next. Seven boats, 5 laps, and an SNHL Montgomery Custom Boats Cup at Seafair crown at stake. Let's see who's going to win the final heat of the night. Heading out onto the water, Neil Dismang's going to be the first into turn number 1. Carson Kelly is going to follow him in. Harley Gray also leaves the dock quickly. Jay Sadrowski heads out into turn number 1. Scott Przybylski heading out onto the water. Scott Witherall, he'll start 5 seconds behind everyone else. And Mickey Washburn also out on the water as well. Washburn, the big story to watch in this race. Remember, he can really dig into that national high points lead, as despite the magic number being down to 24.76, Mickey picking up a win here will make it challenging for Cy Bowen to clinch that title next month in Chelan. And that could push it to a winner-take-all event in San Diego. But we will see how the results of this final heat shake out and how that plays in for the National High Points title. But plenty of spoilers can throw a monkey wrench into that. Neil Dismang has a chance at this heat. We know Jay Sadrowski's got a great strategy to pick up lane number 1. We'll see if anybody gets him off his game. Carson Kelly is always fast. Although he's had some issues tonight, Carson Kelly, anytime he's in the final, he's a threat to win it. And Scott Przybylski looking for his first win ever in SNHL. And don't forget, Scott Witherall at the trailer boat. It is possible, although it's only happened once, that a trailer boat has won an SNHL final. Not to mention Harley Gray, the runner-up in Division II last year. How sweet it would be for him to win his first heat here at Seattle in Division I. All of those stories ready to play out in the next 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So boats make their way around. 1 minute to go. As now it's a conga line up here in turn number 2. Carson Kelly going to jump in front of everybody. Jason Drowski, though, is going to go to the outside. Scott Przybylski is going to jump, and he's going to cut the course, go back around, trying to make the run around the outside. As we're now under 2 minutes to go. Getting close to 30 seconds until the fight for lanes begins. Jason Drowski he allows the current to carry him forward in the short shoot run to maintain lane number 1 as we're under 30 seconds now until the fight for lane starts. Counting down now, we're at close to 15 seconds. Now, 15 seconds until the fight for lanes begins. Now 10 seconds, Jason Drowski's on the pedal. Here comes Mickey Washburn with power as we're at 5 seconds. Make that 4, 3, 2, 1, mark! That's really close, but it's a good score up. Jason Drowski's in lane number 1 again, but he's going to have a lot of boats to his outside this time, heading into turn number 1. But Sadrowski manages to get a great turn 1. He's going to hold on to lane number 1. And no one is really in a spot to take a lane from anyone, as Scott Przybylski almost got into trouble. And as they came across start-finish lines, the way they will hold their lanes with Sadrowski, Kelly, Washburn, Przybylski, Dismang, Gray. Those will be your frontline drivers. And 5 seconds behind will be Witherall. Second phase of the start underway now. Sadrowski's in the best lane. That doesn't mean the win is automatically his. He's got to hit the start. It has to hold off 6 of the fastest drivers in SNHL to win this race. Let's turn them loose in the Montgomery Custom Boats Cup at Seafair. 5 seconds to the start. Make that 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Harley Gray jumped the start. I think Scott Przybylski also jumped the start. Well, check the line. It's only Harley Gray that jumped the start. The battles between Carson Kelly and Jay Sadrowski. Carson Kelly holds Sadrowski tight through turn number 2. Through turn number 1 as we go 5 laps around here at Seafair. And it's Kelly from lane number 2 that's got the lead, but Sadrowski's pushing hard in lane number 1. Heading into turn 2 for the first time. Here in the final, Kelly's got the lead from lane number 2. He's going to hold on to it. As Jay Sadrowski, something's happened to Jay Sadrowski. He's had to jump to the outside. And now it's Kelly with the lead. As we start lap number 2, Kelly leads. Gray on the water is second. Sadrowski is third. Washburn fourth. Dismang fifth. Przybylski in the 6th spot. And Witherall is in 7th. Back up front, down the back straightaway, Carson Kelly holding on to the lead. Carson Kelly has the lead. Harley Gray in second, not a factor due to the jump start. So Kelly has got some breathing room between him and the second place boat, which at this point is Jay Sadrowski, although he is third on the water. Up front, Carson Kelly, former D2 champion, always has some speed with him every time he's on the water. As we start lap number 3, that Seaway Marine is now stretched out to a dominating lead. Gray in second on the water in the Dream Warrior. Jay Sadrowski, though, is in third. He's being chased down, though, by Mickey Washburn there in the Miss Coca-Cola. Washburn in the slop there on the inside. Manages to hold on. Manages to keep that... Manages to stay within 7 boat lengths, which means Jay Sadrowski has to keep a lane in there, but Washburn a lot slower off the corner. Jay Sadrowski there on the outside in clean water, able to get away from him. Meanwhile, up front, Carson Kelly continues to lead to put lap number 3 in the books. As we start the championship laps, Kelly in the Seaway Marine leads the way. Harley Gray second on the water in the Dream Warrior. Third is Jay Sadrowski in the House of Color. Fourth, Mickey Washburn in the Miss Coca-Cola. Dismang is fifth. Sixth is Scott Witherall. And seventh, Scott Prispilski's gone over. He will have to wait another day to win race number 1 in SNHL. But up front, Carson Kelly from lane number 2 battled hard with Jay Sadrowski, managed to hold on to the lead, and he has got first place in his hands heading through turn number 2, and he is now 2 turns from picking up a win in the Montgomery Custom Boats Cup at Seafair. White flag is in the air one more time around for Carson Kelly in the Seaway Marine. Harley Gray is second in the Dream Warrior. Third right now is the House of Color. We're going to stay with this battle for third, however, because Mickey Washburn has caught Jay Sadrowski. He's there on the inside. Sadrowski trying to hold off Washburn, but Washburn throws it into lane number 1. He's got clean enough water. He's going to take third place away as they head through turn number 1 and down the back straightaway. But up front, Carson Kelly led from the onset from lane number 2, got the best start, exits through the exit pin of turn number 2, and it's going to be Carson Kelly who's going to take the win in the Montgomery Custom Boats Cup at Seafair. Kelly with the win. Harley Gray comes across second. Third is going to be Mickey Washburn. He's going to move up to second because Jay Sadrowski hit a buoy. Neil Dismang comes across. He'll end up in the third spot. Scott Witherall is going to gain a position as well. This comes across start finish line in fourth. And unfortunately, Scott Przybilski has gone over and out. Final results are on the screen. We will hear from our podium in just a moment as Carson Kelly takes the win in the SNHL Montgomery Custom Boats Cup at Seafair. So we're going to go a little bit out of order here with the wins, or with our interviews here at the Montgomery Custom Boats at Seafair. We'll start with Carson Kelly, our winner. And Carson, you might be down to one usable thumb right now, but it definitely hasn't stopped your speed, Annie. You are a rocket all night.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, just ran, no pain, just no pain in my thumb, just ran normal and ended up doing good. And I'm just glad that my thumb didn't get in the way of anything.
Yeah. You had a tight run there with Jay Sadrowski. He made that run, that little short run to the start-finish line to get lane 1 all night. He managed to make that work. But from lane number 2, you were able to overtake him. Any thoughts of maybe switching up to try to challenge him with that strategy, or were you just good with your timing marks?
Yeah, I mean, I just knew what he was doing all night, and I kind of countered him, and I knew that I could beat him from the outside, but it was going to be hard. So, I don't know, I just kind of hit my marks and ended up in 2 and was like, all right, I'm going to have to push it hard, and held him a little tight, hit a buoy, but it's part of racing, and I feel bad for him, but yeah, it just happens.
Well, Carson, congratulations and good luck in Chelan. So next up will be Mickey Washburn in the U9 Miss Coca-Cola, our second place finisher. And Mickey, it's a great points day for you. You get the points lead down to about 2,500 points, so it is doable. There is a chance.
It is doable, but I know Cy probably did all his mistakes tonight. He doesn't have very many, so they probably all came up tonight, and he'll probably be perfect the rest of the year, which is great. He deserves it. So, but I'll keep trying to put pressure on him and hope for the best.
Yeah, we had a lot of contact tonight, a lot of close racing. We're used to the D1 lanes here in Seattle. What makes this track so tough here when these boats roll in?
Yeah, it's D1's tough no matter where we race, and then we come into Seattle, and people live around the area a lot and know the area and want to do good here. So I think, race even extra hard, and the short shoots make us crowd up in the corners even more. So yeah, it's I'm glad to see that most of us made it out of that final heat right side up.
Well, Mickey, congratulations. Good luck in Chelan.
Thanks, Daryl, and like always, thank you so much for doing this for us. You're awesome.
Thank you.
Yep.
So we do things a little bit in reverse tonight. Now we'll hear from our third place finisher, Neil Dismang. Feels good. Got to feel good to come through a race with a lot of contact to finish on the podium tonight.
Oh, without question. I think that's first final I've made this year. Maybe I made one last year in D1, but yeah, I mean, getting to it, being able to get a podium, I'll take it, even if it's not because of my overall skill. And some penalties and stuff like that, I'll take it.
You got to be lucky, and you got to be good sometimes to win here in D1, and you were both in equal times during this season. But, Neil, the most important part, though, you're in 10th now. You're in an all-star race spot.
That's been my goal. I come into this very realistic as far as not thinking I'm going to go win a championship or anything. My goal is to be a contender every time, and yeah, I'd like to be in that top 10 at all times. So, and I've been struggling this year quite a bit, so glad to be moving up.
All right, Neil, congratulations and good luck in Chelan.
Excellent. Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. I feel like I do better on the short courses. Those long courses, the fast guys are just that much faster.
Well, I think you have a shot at it. Good luck.
All right. Thank you.
So next time will be the SNHL World Championship in Chelan, Washington. We'll go 4 flights that evening to decide the champion. Race number 7 of the season, that'll be February 8th, 2025. That race presented by 5 to the 5 Boat Design. You can join us at 6:30 with the race to start at 7 p.m. So Carson Kelly is the winner here in Seattle. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr., the voice of the Saturday Night Hydroplane League. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you in Chelan. Good night, everybody.